hot in this basement. We are currently living in what could easily be considered a golden age for superheroes in the cinema. It really does seem like every other week there's another movie that features a superhero or that's based on a comic. It could be in the cinemas, it could be direct to video, hell, it could even be on TV. TV shows based on superheroes have reached a level of sophistication and faithfulness that we just never really saw in the past. But just because we're getting a lot of superhero movies and TV shows doesn't mean we're getting all of them. History is littered with tales of comic book and superhero movies and TV shows that were in development at one point, but then just not made for one reason or the other. Some of these unmade projects are actually pretty well known. You have Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4, for example. You have George Miller's Justice League Heroes movie. You even have Tim Burton's Superman Lives project. They made a documentary out of that one, and it's pretty good. And then you have projects that aren't as well known. Like, did you know that Guillermo del Toro was once developing a Hulk TV show? Seriously, Google it. It would have been part of the MCU. And as of this year, we can officially add one more movie to the list. Ben Affleck's Batman. At one point, the Academy Award winner was slated to write, direct, and star in the latest solo Batman movie that was going to be a part of the DC Extended Universe, or Worlds of DC, or whatever the hell they wound up calling the cinematic universe. Does it have a name? This was supposed to be the next big project spinning out of Batman vs. Superman and Justice League, a potential crown jewel for the entire franchise. But alas, it wasn't meant to be. Matt Reeves eventually took over as writer and director, and as of this year, Robert Pattinson is the new Batman. But just because Affleck's movie didn't wind up getting made, that doesn't mean that we know nothing about it. In fact, we know quite a bit. And with the information that was revealed last week, I think it's pretty safe to assume that we have a general idea of what the once and forever Holden McNeil had in store for the Caped Crusader. Last week on the podcast, Happy Sad Confused, cinematographer Robert Richardson appeared as a guest and talked about his time working with Ben Affleck on the since-canceled Batman movie. Richardson was hired to be cinematographer on the project, having previously worked with Affleck on Live by Night. So he's somebody who would have had intimate knowledge of the script and what Ben Affleck wanted to do with the character. According to Richardson, Affleck's script dealt with the, quote, darker side of Batman. It would have delved into his psyche deeper than any previous film before it, and it would have had Batman confront the notion that he may or may not be sane. Arkham Asylum was to be a major setting for the film, and it would have had Batman not only confront his past foes, but his own sanity. Now, the bit about Arkham we kind of already knew. It had been rumored for a long time that Affleck's Batman was going to take place primarily in Arkham Asylum, and it would be the setting for his confrontation with all the foes from his past. What is new, however, is the fact that Batman's mental well-being was going to factor into the story. Batman's sanity had been touched upon here and there in previous films, but it was never really a main talking point. Really, whenever it got brought up, it would be passed off as a joke almost.
Well, a guy dresses up like a bat clearly has issues.
To give credit where credit is due, Batman Forever actually did try to explore Bruce Wayne's psychology a lot, but unfortunately, a lot of those scenes got left on the cutting room floor. You know, to make room for Riddler and Two-Face to play Battleship.
Oh, that sinking feeling. I like this game. C9. Ah! You sunk my battleship!
In case you're wondering, yes, I did see the Patrick Willems video about reevaluating Joel Schumacher's Batman movies. And the guy ain't wrong. Alright, back on topic. If Batman's sanity was to play a major part in this film's story, then having Arkham Asylum be a major setting makes all the sense in the world. While Arkham Asylum has been featured in movies before, it was never in a leading capacity. It really only had a cameo in Batman Forever, and in Batman and Robin, it was just the place where they were holding Mr. Freeze. In Batman Begins, it had a much larger role, but it was just really the place where Scarecrow worked. Meanwhile, over in the comics, Arkham Asylum is almost depicted as a character itself. Comics like Grant Morrison and Dave McKean's Serious House on Serious Earth and Dan Slott and Ryan Sook's Living Hell show us that Arkham Asylum is really this haunted hellhole that might actually make its inhabitants more insane than they were when they entered it. If you ask me, this is why the first Arkham Asylum game is still the best. Its setting had a great impact on the narrative and the player experience, more so than Arkham City or the Arkham Knight did. And what better way to test Batman than to trap him in the place where all of his bad guys are? Bad guys who might actually be crazier because of the time they spent there. Speaking of bad guys though, what's interesting is that Richardson doesn't mention anything about Deathstroke the Terminator. He was rumored to be the primary antagonist of this film, so much so that Ben Affleck himself actually released test footage of Deathstroke. And now I'm not so sure how Deathstroke would have fit into this story. He's not insane, he's just a mercenary. People pay him good money to kill other people. So unless he's hired to kill somebody in Arkham, or he's hired to kill Batman and lures him into Arkham as a trap, I'm not sure how he would have fit into the narrative. And now all we have of Deathstroke in the DC movie universe is Joe Manganiello's cameo at the end of Justice League. Man, poor guy. I wonder what him and his good looks are gonna do now. So on the whole, this movie sounds pretty unique. It's a Batman movie set primarily in one location, and it's gonna deal with his mental health, so why wasn't it made? According to Richardson, Affleck's initial script was not well received by those at Warner Brothers. He tried to alter it as best he could to please everybody, but ultimately couldn't, so he went on to make Gone Girl instead. Which is interesting. See if you can follow this timeline. Ben Affleck was cast as Batman in 2013. Gone Girl came out in 2014. Batman vs. Superman came out in 2016. Matt Reeves took over directing and writing the Batman film in 2017. Now, I had always been under the assumption that Ben Affleck became disenfranchised with making a Batman movie after the response to BVS, and I think a lot of us thought that as well. According to Richardson now, he was out of creative force well before that movie got a release date. Although I'm sure after BVS came out and was not the most beloved thing on the planet, that might have put the final nail in the Batfleck coffin, as it were. So now we are no longer getting that Ben Affleck directed solo Batman movie, and it's a shame. Or is it? To me, while the premise of the movie does sound cool, it also sounds like it's trying to be a dark and gritty deconstruction of an iconic superhero. Something that gets real nasty while it's trying to be all deep and symbolic. You know, like these films tried. Yes, technically Suicide Squad was trying to be dark and gritty and deconstructionist well before it got cut into oblivion. The one thing Robert Richardson kept bringing up in the interview was that this was going to be a dark movie, that Ben Affleck was focused and fascinated on the darker side of Batman. To me, that sounds a lot like how Zack Snyder was focused on the darker side of Superman and went ahead and made a Superman movie where Superman threatens to kill Batman twice.
Next time they shine your light in the sky, don't go to it. The bat is dead. Bury it. Consider this mercy.
Stay down! If I wanted it, you'd be dead already.
This concept in the hands of the previous DC movie universe regime, the same one that wanted no jokes told ever in any of their films, sounds like something that could easily have become another dour, depressing movie. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if the final thesis of the film would have been something like, Batman's just as bad as his criminals, but are you gonna try and stop him? Now, I have no way of knowing this. I'm just assuming this is what would have happened based on what we know of the script already and how DC was making their movies before everybody hated BVS. It's just a gut feeling that I have. Now, had the movie actually gotten made, I would have went and seen it. I mean, obviously, and who knows, I might have even liked it. I mean, I liked The Town and Argo, but then again, I also liked Dawn of the Dead and 300. And we all know how that turned out. The point I'm trying to make is it's very hard to tell whether or not an unmade movie would have wound up being any good. Just because a film had an interesting premise doesn't necessarily mean it had the creative team to pull it off. I mean, for all we know, Ben Affleck didn't have what it takes to make a good Batman movie, despite his resume. And if that's the case, then Warner Brothers did the right thing by going with somebody else. But then again, the Matt Reeves Batman movie might be trash despite his stellar resume. Again, you never know until you actually go see it. Now, I know that Ben Affleck's Unmade Batman movie already has a loyal fan base. I mean, this whole franchise has a fiercely loyal following for some reason. And I'm sure there are fans out there who are already cursing Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson for getting to make their Batman movie instead of Ben Affleck. But that's unfair. I mean, it's not their fault Ben Affleck isn't making his Batman movie. Things just didn't work out. That happens all the time in Hollywood. So instead of getting mad at them, I think we should instead look forward to the Batman movie that we're going to get, rather than the Batman movie that's just in our imagination. Because it's not like Ben Affleck already made his Batman movie and then Warner Brothers just hid it in a vault somewhere away from the public, like some other movies that they made. I'm gonna make another video about this because I got opinions on it. And look, maybe one day Ben Affleck's Batman script will get the same treatment as other unmade movies, like William Gibson's Alien 3. That got made into a comic book. Or maybe it'll get a documentary like The Death of Superman Lives. That's a very good documentary on Tim Burton's Unmade Batman film. You should watch it. But for now, Ben Affleck's Batman movie is just another in a long line of unmade superhero films. Right up there with X-Men Origins Magneto and Darren Aronofsky's Batman Year One. Lost to the sands of time, but not lost in the hearts of fans. I just made that up. Let me know down below or anywhere on the internet if you're sad that Ben Affleck's Batman movie is no longer getting made. Did this small tidbit of information pique your interest, or are you now relieved that they've moved on to the Matt Reeves idea? Seriously, look up Darren Aronofsky's Batman Year One. It is something else. It is a radical departure from the comics, and honestly, kind of glad it didn't get made. Frank Miller worked on it, by the way. The boys of the Wulff Den will be at the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo this Saturday and Sunday, August 10th and the 11th. We will have a panel on Sunday at 3:30. So if you're on Long Island and you're into retro games, or if you're not into retro games, just come on down, stop by. We'll have a great time. I'm cartoonishly excited for this, I think because it's in my backyard. So come on down. And of course, don't forget that we have new videos every Tuesday and Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern is Wulff Den Live. So subscribe to see all of that, like this video, and share with a friend who's always been curious about what Ben Affleck had in store for The Dark Knight. Show them this video, and maybe it'll pique their interest, or it could make them relieved that the movie never got made. I don't know their life. Thank you all for watching. I will see you next time. Hopefully at Long Island Retro Games.